Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Naughty List 2.0 Combating Holiday Stress. You are here with the wonderful, fun ladies. We are here having a wonderful brunch with you to figure out how we are going to combat some of this holiday stress that is stressing us out. I am Angela Lightfoot.
I am Rita Ricks.
Celia Powell.
And we are here to have a really great time. So, as you notice, we've got our combat gear on, so we hope you're ready to start combating some of this stress with us, okay? So I want to thank you again for joining us. Simone, it's so great to have you. We are excited to get started. So, first things first, when we talk about the holidays.
First things first, I think we should just kind of
pull back.
Say that we're going to celebrate responsibly.
So cheers to combating holiday stress, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because we've got no time for it.
Oh,
we've got no time for it. So we'll start off real gentle. Let's just kind of introduce ourselves. Let everyone know who we are. So I'm Angela Lightfoot. I am a spiritual and mental health wellness coach with Rita Ricks, LLC. I work predominantly with young adults that are suffering from any type of light, mild diagnosis and just feeling a little stuck in life, trying to figure out where they're trying to go. And I really love to be a part of them, helping them on their journey. So that's myself. Rita, Celia?
Yeah, Celia.
Hi. Well, I am by profession a certified public accountant that serves nonprofits and small businesses and individuals with helping them build a financial management plan. And recently, in the last couple of years, I have discovered that there is a relationship between mind, spirit, and money. And so I began building a practice specifically to help individuals address those issues and grow financially.
And I'm Rita Ricks. Celia has been my certified public accountant probably 10 years. We just kind of hold on to 10 years. But it's been about that long. But what she does also is strategize. She's a huge strategizer, particularly when it comes to my business and she being the accountant. And she calls herself my numbers whisperer. So if in fact you are looking for an accountant that will show you the way and is not just interested just in the numbers and taxes, but is looking at the full picture, that's who you should call. And then Angela has been with me 3 years in November, October. We celebrated 3 years. She's amazing with young people. She is amazing with young people. She can pull out of them so much. And what I do is work with the mamas and the grandmas. So I'm a spiritual business coach. We're really glad to have you on, even if it's by streaming, however you're watching us. But just know that you can always connect with us at RitaRicks.com.
Absolutely. So we'll get right into this. One thing that I like to share, just about the holidays, right? So just to throw some numbers out there, Celia, hopefully you'll like this a little bit. We are 13 days away from Thanksgiving. We're 37 days away from Hanukkah, 44 days to Christmas, 45 to Kwanzaa, and 50 days into the new year.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes just hearing those numbers really makes it a great day. It's right around the corner. And for many people, especially as Americans, we just start to feel that pressure start building on. It's like as soon as Halloween is over and the Christmas decorations, even though I don't know if you guys noticed, I saw Christmas decorations up at the end of June this year.
My neighbor has her tree up.
Right? And I'm like, wait a minute,
Today.
can we wait just a second? We don't put our tree up until after Thanksgiving, personally, just to kind of give each holiday their moment. But that pressure starts to build on, like I said, as soon as Halloween is over, the pressure, you start hearing the music, right? You start seeing the lights, you start seeing the sales come on, you start trying to plan things with family and friends, and it can start feeling a little stressful. So what we're doing today is giving you some wonderful tips that are going to combat some of that stress because we know it's coming. And when you know something's coming, you can better prepare.
Amen.
Okay? So that's what we're going to do today. But we'll start off with a little bit of fun for just a moment. I want to know, ladies, what is your most favorite thing about the holidays? So we'll start with Simone. Simone, what's your most favorite thing about the holidays?
Cooking. I enjoy cooking. And that's why I was rushing around and getting on the video this morning. I'm fixing a pot of string beans for a group of ladies for this afternoon. And so I love cooking during the holidays.
Well,
That
you
doesn't mean I'm
just-
sharing it all. I just like cooking it.
I was about to say, you notice I said, let me know when you're cooking. I'll come right over. I love eating. So, that is great. That's
Yes.
great. What about you, Celia? What do you absolutely love about the holidays?
I love the aspect of fellowship. I feel like the holidays brings us together after going through a year and everybody's doing their own thing. The holidays is a time for us to come together and just love on each other.
That's right. Lots of loving, right? That's right.
I really want to jump on that because it's true, Celia, and you do feel it. Even as we're celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah and everything else, you do see families together. Even the commercials are highlighting families, and so it's a wonderful time. I love it. I love it. I love it. And this being the first, really, since COVID, because two of my family had COVID last year, Christmas Day.
That's right. That's right.
So it's always for me a level of expectation and excitement that just moves on into the new year. So everything's new.
Everything's, I love that for you.
Yeah, I love it.
So I'm kind of a combination, which is interesting. For me, it really comes down to the tradition because I have a really great family. We're pretty big. We have started, I'm 35 years old, and for 35 years, we've had a Christmas Eve party. Even in the pandemic, I mean, we did it a little differently. We'll share that later, how we did it. But it's that fact of us coming together and us figuring out new ways and new things to do that bring us even closer together. Because each year we try to do something different. So for me, it is that family time, and luckily we get along pretty well. So that helps. Right? So, okay, let's go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off of the stress part. Because I know we all got it. I mean, even us as coaches, there's sometimes a little things that just grind our gear just a little bit during the holidays that just add that little bit of stress, whether we induce it ourselves or it comes from other people. So, Simone, if you would go first, what is that one thing that kind of just stresses you out a little bit during the holidays?
So the reason why what stresses me out is the family part.
Mm.
And that is because the glue that kept me and my sister together is now gone. Our parents have died, and it's not a good relationship. And so I am finding it's been a good excursion, if you will, in finding my other family members because I relied on that nucleus all of my years. And then when my mom and dad passed, it's like, where are my cousins? So I went searching for my cousins during COVID and found them. And so now I'm thinking, all right, I need to figure out what to do with them because they're not here in the area. They're in Alabama, they're in Atlanta, New York, and I do have a great relationship with them. So, so we're gonna use the COVID Zoom and hopefully do something that way. But I haven't ventured out after COVID and traveling and whatnot, and so I tend to stay home during the holidays. Folks can come to me, but I'm not moving. So that's the stressful part. Having a family member that you don't want to be around, and because of their behavior, it's safer that I'm not with that person. And so then it's okay, what's the next level of family? And so the pot of string beans that I'm fixing happens to be for a group of ladies, and one of those women invited me and my husband to their home for Thanksgiving. So I'm fixing Thanksgiving dinner with her, and so that brings in that family thing. So it's who the togetherness is with that causes stress.
I am so proud of you, Simone, and you have just given a tip amongst tips because rather than sitting home bemoaning the fact that you feel sorry, acting as though you're the victim because your folks are gone, you move to find other family members. And that's such a wonderful step. Family members that maybe you didn't know or now you've connected with. And there's always friends. We don't ever know it, but I don't think we think about it, but they're always friends that would love to have us over, but they think, oh, they're probably doing their own thing. And so I have no shame. I've done it before, just kind of invited myself, listen, I'm one by myself and I don't cook, can I? That's all I gotta say, So I think if we take it upon ourselves to act on, I think you did a wonderful job. That was really good.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll share something else. One of the things that in those years before COVID, right? But just struggling through where I am with that family member, I invited an individual who didn't have family. And so he became part of our Thanksgiving tradition of coming over because he didn't have family. And I knew him from way back when. And so it's just really interesting how I've always believed that when you're down in the dumps, you just need to find somebody to help.
That's
And
right. To
it's
pull
gonna
you out.
erase all of that other stuff.
To pull
So,
you out. Yeah. This has been some years ago, but there was a young African-American man in college, and he got a text saying, "Hey, I want to make sure you're going to be here for Thanksgiving." And it wasn't supposed to be for him. It was for her grandson. But this young man said, I don't know who you are, but I'd love to come. And they've been together probably 3 or 4 or 5 years. And her husband
Mhm.
passed, and he was at the funeral. He has become a part of that family from an accident, which clearly was not an accident.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
good.
exactly right.
That's all God. That's
Yeah.
all God. And I think Simone, you brought up a really good point. When we recognize some things about the holidays, they look a little bit different, whether that was a result of COVID or the passing of family members that typically, you do have in your life that bring things together. That part of that stress sometimes is being so worried about, am I going to be enough? Am I going to bring enough of the same? How do I pull people in? But that's not always your responsibility. Sometimes it's having those beautiful God mistakes, right? Those things that just kind of happen where you recognize there's someone that's in need. Like you said, the best way to get yourself even out of the dumps is, of course, to pull somebody else up with you, help somebody else. So I love what you're able to do. And I love that you, like Rita said, have gotten yourself such a good group to now be, okay, you're not my family. We get to identify these people.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So, yeah. So what about you ladies? What's that one thing you're a little stressed out about for this holiday?
What am I gonna? You know, for me, my family circle is very small as well. My family of origin have all transitioned, so it's my son and myself pretty much. And his life he has his own life, but even still, with that, I still stress about what am I gonna do for him, even though he's an adult, for the holidays. So I still try to build my celebration around my family member, although it may not be plentiful by what the standards would say, but I've been admonished to love who loves you, and sometimes that family you will have a family, and it may not be the ones that you have grown up with, but I believe that God will bring people into your life to help you celebrate those times through the season. So I just wait. I'm still gonna plan, but it's just like, what? It's now he's in another state. So yeah, that gets me just a tad bit stressful, but I work through it.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. What's our
Good.
statement, Rita? When the fear, when you see
Yeah,
it,
you face the fear and do it anyway.
do it anyway.
Do it anyway. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll still,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, and that's what you do. I know you said
Yeah,
that before.
that's my therapy
Yeah.
to Elijah to do that. So
Yeah.
who knows? I might make something a dessert because I don't do desserts, but I try to make things special. I do a little extra, something just to overlap.
Like what? What do you do that's kind of special?
I would like bake a banana bread from scratch, a banana walnut. I just do things like that, and I'm not a dessert eater, but
Wow.
when I feel like I just want to take or make a shift
Yeah.
from maybe not being in a place that I would desire
Yeah.
stress wise,
Yeah.
I'll just pour it into creativity. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
Good.
And then when it's food too, like I said earlier, food, it not only fills me, but it does something to my heart. And thinking
Yes.
of certain foods, right? Because there's certain foods, you know, you eat just during the holiday season.
Yeah.
I'm country. I won't tell you what mine are because they're bad. But you know that you only eat during the holidays and bring back a memory
Yes, it
and a
does.
sense, and
Yes,
kind
it
of ties you back to
to your family of origin or your origin. It's awesome. The scent of the smell sense, the sense of smell is very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
It can take you back to a childhood.
Real quickly.
Reminisce.
Real quickly. What about you, Ree?
So, my daughters cook. So they, both of them cook. Good thing. Or we'd be having takeout, seriously. So they cook, and Kim especially has adapted several recipes from my mom and from her other grandma. And and she was married to a guy who had a big family, so this is how she cooks. So we always say, just do small, just do small. But then she says, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, this. But then I say, well, you know, I really want you to do the string bean. Somebody else said, I want you to do, and then bless her heart, she's back to this, because we've all asked. My stress though is with the giving. And it wasn't when they were younger, because when they were younger, you know, I was able to do it for a while, but then they got really particular. And so I gave them money and they loved it. But now they're older, they're 21 and 25. And I don't want to keep giving money, but I want to do something in particular. And so I've chosen, this is a surprise, so I got to make sure we don't hear, but I'm buying them raw. I'm giving each of them raw flowers.
Now
That's my Christmas present to them this year.
Awesome.
At 21 and 25.
Awesome.
That's what
I
I
love
want to do. And my financial advisor said, just create a really cool letter with what it's all about. We'll set it up in January. They're both working. They both can sign for it. But this is like the best present I've done in a really long, because before it was just, and I say just money. They love it. They appreciate it. But it's gone by February. It's gone by February.
And maybe they're putting it towards bills or fun stuff. But
And so what I said to them also, what I will say is I'm going to match it.
Nice.
So I will match whatever they put in. If they don't put anything in, I won't match it, and how will it grow? So I'm so excited about this. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
turn that stress into like an absolute blessing and an investment on their
And it's
future.
so easy for me, you know.
Exactly.
So maybe when I'm giving money from now on, it'll go straight into that. That's what I'm thinking.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
You might
That's
have to add that one to the list, y'all.
Yes.
Rocks. Like,
exactly.
and that creates generational wealth, which I
It
know
does.
as us as people, that is something we have got to do.
We have to nix this. I mean, we truly do. That's a huge factor in our community, the economic wealth and growing in equity.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
And I
for
have
longevity.
friends, you know, like I said, before I was giving them a lump sum at Christmas, they loved it, but it didn't.
You don't
it-
see it.
No.
Yeah, it just
And
goes
I
into
have
black
friends
hole.
who have great businesses, and they're saying, we're just gonna give it all to them. If they don't know how to spend it,
Right.
which you're gonna talk about,
Yep.
then it's gonna be gone. And so
Exactly.
I want my little ones to learn.
Now.
This
That's
is
right.
this is how it grows.
Yeah.
This is the benefit.
Right.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Education around financial matters is so key. Money is so important to us, and we'll talk about that
Yeah.
when we get to that subject.
Mhm.
But it's
Mhm.
so important. But we're
Mhm.
educated on something that's so important
Mhm.
to us
Yeah.
in this society.
Man, well, that just goes right into my stressor. I mean, I can be very honest, y'all. I am a bargain shopper. I will find the best deals there is, but for some reason, I find lots of them.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
We're
I
gonna
find
talk-
lots
I
of
have
deals.
something
so
for
then
you.
it's not a
I
bargain.
have something for you.
You know, like
Is that I'm gonna
this is
recommend.
why I'm sitting next to you.
Yeah.
This is why because like I mean I will go and I will find the best deal, the 5 for 5s, the 5 for 10, whatever they might be. I'm like, oh, I can get it for this person, this person, this person. Then I'm adding people to the list that don't really need to be added. I mean, I don't even know the last time I talked to my mail person, the carrier, but they need to get a gift, you know. And then I start to get into this little bit of this overcompensating. And then I admit I'm not. By the time I get so far, you know, I don't set a budget. That's really what it is. I think, oh, I'm only going to spend so much. And then I go in the store, I see the sales, I think of the people, it attaches me to it.
when
Mhm.
we discover that all of that you just discussed is intentional. It's intentional to keep money flowing from out of us versus to us.
Mm.
It is an intentional system. And so knowing this is where the spiritual part that I began to dwell further in, knowing that there is an intentional strategy to keep you and to keep your pockets empty, because then you don't have the power to institute a Roth IRA.
Mm.
Okay, you don't have the finances,
Mhm.
but you got a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
that has no value.
Mhm.
Okay, so understanding the overall scheme
Mhm.
about what money, this is why we're not taught about money. Only thing we learn is how to spend it, not to use it, how to use it. And it's two different factors. So understanding that it is a tool and knowing that depending on where you are, you might have limited access to the
Mhm.
tool. You have to be very strategic and you really have to be very mindful about how you are using your money. You already know where your weak points are. So you have to begin to build in strategies and practices to help minimize that. And then shift what you would spend into something that you can invest. You know, that's important.
Watch our time.
That's right. So she's got my combat gear on. I'm ready to fight now. I'm telling you, I'm ready to fight for my
Let's go.
finances. So
Fight.
let's go straight into the levels of combat. So we're going to take the word combat and we've broken it down to some really great tips so we can keep it a little more user friendly. So if you've got a journal, pull that journal out right now and start writing down these amazing tips. So the first one for combat, communicate your expectations. And that's so much what you were talking about at the beginning, Rita. What's the expectation? What do I expect from myself? What do I expect from others? Set yourself up for the success of being able to have that. Communicate it with others, right? We are not living in silos as much as I know the COVID pandemic made us think we were, right? We're not living in these silos. So it's those expectations on yourself. Like you said, Simone, if you're like, you know what, I'm not really traveling out and going to do these things with people, but my door's open. People can come here. Communicating that expectation, like, I love y'all, but I also have my safety space. I also have my boundaries. I'm going to keep it right here, but my door is open, right? That just kind of opens an opportunity for you to be able to, you know, have the people in that you need, right? And that people know what they're also supposed to be. The other part of that expectation is the expectations that you put on other people, right? And sometimes that can be a little difficult because we know there's some traditions, there's some way families just always have done things, right? And like you said, so you mentioned a great point where you said, there might be somebody in the family that makes you uncomfortable, that you don't really want to be around, right? So set the expectation for yourself. I want to be safe this holiday season. I know by being around that person, it does not bring me the joy that I need, right? To be able to communicate what your expectations are, okay? Do you ladies have a tip for that?
I think that's really good. I think that's really good because I've known Simone for a while, and it causes, you know, the relationship causes angst. But she is doing what she feels. Most of us, well, my mom would want, you know, or my dad would want, and we have to get past that because our health is most important. And so that's why I say I'm so proud of you that you've done this because, you know, some people are not happy unless somebody else is unhappy. And so I just don't want you to, I don't want to be the one to be unhappy. So you can figure out somebody else, but it is not going to be me. And my parents who are no longer here, who are right here, understand and know me. So guilt is not a part of the vocabulary. Yeah, guilt is not a part of the vocabulary. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that, Rita.
Yeah.
And you've helped me move to where I am. And so I am forever grateful for you and the conversations that we had through your business. And so thank you.
You're
Yep.
welcome. And that's probably been 3 years, right?
It has
We've
been.
been together?
Yeah, it's been actually it was almost 4 or 5 years ago because I
Wow.
was with it was when I first started with the company I'm with now. So yeah,
Exactly.
yes.
So it's hard, isn't it hard? You know, you've had to go through guilt and yeah.
Oh, it has been and I don't like to use the term journey. It's been moving through and peeling back the onion of emotions.
Yeah.
that change from one season to the next, recognizing where I'm confident in some areas and not in others, but really just loving myself differently so
Oh,
that
that's good. I like that.
anyone who hurts me or calls me angst, it's like that piece of clothing that you bought and you haven't worn it, and yeah, why did I get that? And you give it away. So I've given my sibling away to others so that she can be good with other people because she's not good to me.
Look at you setting those expectations.
And
Yeah.
who's to say that at another time in life, you might,
Exactly.
it comes back around. But we all should have the freedom to discover who we are, separate and apart from any hindrances of family and, other relationships.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. And I believe our culture, it is about family. And I believe strongly in family. We cannot go and live and exist without others.
Right.
Who your family is, though, doesn't have to be biological.
Yeah, that's right. No, sure does.
And I have learned that and I've accepted that, that God has given me the opportunity to decide who those folks are in that inner circle that I allow to know me and be with me and come through my front door. Because I don't let everybody come to my home either. I invite them, but I pick and choose who comes through my front door because they're bringing a level of energy and love to this home.
Gosh, you have
I love
grown.
it.
You have just grown.
I love what I hear.
Glad to see
Thank
that because I know where you were, and it was hard to even watch, because you were torn, even before you lost your mom. And so to see where you are now, it shows that it works. It shows that, when you go inside, because you got a strong faith, and when you were able to reconnect inside, that's when things started to change. So I'm just really happy.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels great.
I'm sure.
Amen. And I'm so glad that you've got it so figured out, Simone. For those that do not have it so figured out, when you're trying to figure out how to communicate this joy, the big thing that Rita and I are big proponents of is to be silent for a little bit. Sometimes there's all this noise happening right here during the holidays, right? And in general, be silent. Give it to God about how to handle some of these situations. Because sometimes when you're trying to handle it in angst, you make some mistakes. You hurt some feelings. You might not get invited to places again sometimes, right? Go be silent for a little bit, even before you get ready to do something. Before you communicate those expectations, spend some time in silence, get it together, and then communicate it. Okay? So moving on to the next one. And this one I feel like we did at the beginning. It's own your holiday joy. Right? And I use the word joy because like Rita and I talk about joy so often about where that comes from, right? Being happy, we see Santa doing all this ho 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 and stuff and all this, cheerful stuff. And that's so not the point, right? Choose those things that bring you absolute joy. So if it is cooking for your friends and your family, right? If it's knowing that you're investing into your grandchildren's futures, right? If it's really figuring out, like, I might not normally do this, but you know what? I'm going to create such an amazing recipe that my family's going to create some new traditions, some new moments, those things that truly bring you joy, right? And they might be some things that, and I always tell people, think about some of the things you used to do way back in the past that really brought you that simple joy before things got so complicated. Right? Because things then got real complicated. For us and our family, one thing that I recognize that I want to bring back, and I was so grateful of even putting this together that I thought about it. My grandfather used to read us from the Bible, the birth of Christ, every year, right? Some families do the Christmas Carol. Well, he said this is the better version, right? That's what he would always say. And just us hearing that, not only hearing his voice, because now I'm older, he's been gone for almost 10 years and I can still hear it. Right? So that now when the next matriarch of our family, which will probably be my mom, if she could just read it to all the grandkids and the nieces and nephews, although faiths have changed and things are different, being able to put a little bit of the joy of God into the moment, right? Do something for our family. So it's finding that holiday joy.
How y'all feel about a little bit of holiday joy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For me, there is nothing like Christmas Eve service. It just, and I was in a choir in high school, and that was our busiest season. And so I love the song, I just love the songs. And interestingly enough, and this is a shout out to Mrs. Johnson because I was in Frankfurt, Germany, and she was our melodies teacher. So if anybody's listening to this, that was a melody, and she just passed at 94 about 2 weeks ago. Up until that time, we zoomed with her. They zoomed with her every week. She was amazing. So that even today, when I'm listening to a choir, I'm watching the director because she always said, "Watch me, watch me, watch me." You know, and so that's kind of a cool thing to think about. We have to always follow something, you know, follow something, the good, not the crazy,
not the
but
crazy,
the good.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And like you, when you talk about those journals, you think about how your body feels.
Mhm.
Like you just talking about it, your whole face just lit up
Yeah.
because that, right? It comes
I
from
love
somewhere.
that. I love those songs. I love the song.
What brings you a little holiday joy?
I love the lights.
Oh, yeah.
Going out and you know, the Macy's and all those big department stores would just go over the top with their decor.
Yeah.
And that has always been a part of my holiday experience.
Yeah.
So I will be putting up my tree right after Thanksgiving and just starting to just get the house prepared for the season.
That's right.
I really love the aesthetics of it.
So you brought up such a good point also about the smells.
Oh, yes.
Right. So I walked
yes.
into the store just the other day and they had those little brooms that smell like cinnamon.
Yes.
I've never had one of those in my house at all, but for some reason I was like, Christmas is here. Like it starts, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm walking through CVS like a little bit happier, just smelling cinnamon.
You know, I just pick up the cinnamon cones and just put them in a bowl. Yeah, just
I
put
love
a couple.
it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
Yes. Just setting that.
So bring some joy, y'all, because I think, like I said, the world is we cut on the news, you're gonna see a whole bunch of crap, right? You're gonna have so much bad stuff. This time is for joy. Start these new things, bring some joy into your life with family, friends. Figure out what brings you joy and have it. So I don't know, maybe you need to do that tacky lights tour just to get you a little,
Probably will.
little bit extra, right? And make sure, like I said,
so much.
you know, and you want to own it. That's the big part. So my next one's actually one of my favorites. And I think that especially anytime during the year, it's important. But I think during the holiday season, it reminds me of how important it is. And it's maintaining an attitude of gratitude. Right. So, I mean, we start most mornings journaling, right? And I always start mine with my dear God, I love you letter. And then I always say, God, I want to thank you for, or I'm grateful for. And I pick 3 things. So I usually start November, from November to literally New Year's Day. Every day I pick 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I can't pick the same thing ever again for that time period. So I make it a little specific to help myself out, but it's really focusing on those things that I'm really grateful for, because it could be the idea that one of my coworkers gave me a candy cane. It's simple, right? But the fact that they thought enough of me, that they know that I really actually love candy canes, right? And that it's a moment that we get to share together. Plus, you know, all the things that just connect it. It could be the fact that, you know, I'm donating things for the angel tree and really just grateful that we're able to help another family out. Right. So it's just having that level of gratitude, because we get blessings every single day. The way I see it, every day we wake up, it should look like Christmas morning opening up those presents, right? That we have to find that gratitude every single day and in every moment that we do. So I picked 3 things. So I challenge you all, 3 things from now to the end of the new year. Start this almost as a new habit. It changes us. So as I talked a little about stress, we recognize stress will kill you. We know this, right?
Yeah.
Stress will kill you.
Yeah.
We are at the holiday season when more heart attacks and strokes happen this time of year than any other time. January is one of the highest levels. And I'm like, I wonder why. You think about all the stuff you're eating, the stress of going here, right? You're doing all this stuff. And when you finally start to slow down, your heart's like, wait a minute, I can't take this. Right? So recognize, like, okay, I'm going to figure out some things to maintain a little level of gratitude. I need to put some good stuff in.
And especially if you've been pretending you're happy. You're not happy. But you've had that mask on. Yeah. And then you come down in January, it's like, who am I?
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty sad. The other thing too is that everything that Ange is mentioning with combat, we can take it on into the year. So we're talking about right now, but everything that COMBAT, we can take into the new year, and anything becomes a habit after 21 days. So if you just today start practicing that. I love gratitude in the morning, but it's also what I go to sleep on at night. I'm just grateful for this day, because there's always one thing. It is never that there's nothing.
Mm-mm.
There's something
Always.
good, and that's what you have to look for. Yeah. You have to
Mhm.
look.
How do you practice gratitude, Cynthia?
I practice gratitude throughout the whole day. I begin my day with going to the Lord and, just practicing silence, listening for his voice and prayer. And as his word says in, I think it's First Thessalonians 5:16, that we are to be thankful because that is his will towards us. So every moment that I can just give thanks for, I'm just thanking him. Yes, it's just where I am with him. It's a day long. It's part of my experience with him. Experience his presence.
And that takes it puts so much in you. And the big part, I'll tell you, teach this, right? What we do at our family for Thanksgiving, how people do it, who would go around the table and what are you thankful for? As our family, we go up to Ohio, we do it, as we're holding hands right before prayer. We say it. It does something. It creates that level of synergy, and it's also teaching the younger generation. And to me, that's a big thing. It's teaching them what we as adults are grateful for, but also giving them an opportunity to recognize gratitude and just what that does for them. So maintain your attitude of gratitude. Okay. Now we're on my favorite part, and I'm super excited. We are at the B of combat, which is budget. Budget. Celia, I'm gonna sit back. This is my turn to learn.
The other B word, budget. As Rita knows so well that I love that word budget. A lot of people, when they think about budget, they think of it as a restrictive practice, but actually it's a very liberating practice, because what a budget can do for you is to create a financial roadmap to whatever vision or mission that you have in life. So it starts with the big picture strategy. Okay, so we're talking about holiday stress here. So what is it that I want to envision for my holiday? And we need to write the vision and make it plain. So that practice, we know we're taught. So we write the vision. What foods are we going to serve? Who is going to be at our table? Where are we going? These things are not unknown to us, but we seem to think that it's a spontaneous action when we can take control. Once we have information, then stress begins to dissipate. When we know things, stress comes when there's a lot of unknowingness. And so when we know something, then we can better plan for it. We know who we're going to serve and what we're going to do. So once we know that, then we can begin to create the word, the budget. Having a budget and knowing the direction of where our money is going to flow is very, very important. But also we have to have grace with ourselves, because most times when we go into those places that begin with the M, Marshall's, oops, Targets, oops, TJ Maxx, oh my God. Those places are set up to just give us a desire to buy stuff. And so in containing, because I'll buy it if I see it, I have to put into place some practices. Because I don't want to blow my budget. And if I do, okay, but I'm not gonna blow it too much, because I can't help others if I'm not controlling mine. But when I go into places that I know we're going to probably put some hurt on my pocket, I practice what they call the custody of eyes. The custody of eyes is a religious practice, and it's founded in Catholicism. And it's supposed to help us maintain purity, especially for men. And that they don't look at everything. So when I'm going into one of those places that begin with M or T, I'm usually intentional. I know what I'm going there for. I'm just not going to meander around, because I know if I just meander around, I'm going to start picking up this, I'm going to start picking up that, and then I'll start justifying in my head, oh, I got this, oh, I got this. And then, I've spent way more money than what I had intended to. And, now I'm kind of stressing, because I'm like, okay, I knew I shouldn't have did that, but I did anyway. So by looking down, okay, just going through an aisle, if you know that they have the best jackets and boots and shoes, and you know your closet already has enough jacket, boots, and shoes, then you know what section you're going through. Look down. Don't look to the side, the left or right. Stay focused on where you're going in that store. Get what you need to get. You might want to peek around, but then you might want to hurry up and get away. Another thing that I began doing is eliminating all these email offers, because we know that the internet is now the new marketplace. Okay, we don't have to even go into a store anymore. And that's a strategy intentional. They will market directly to us. You can be looking at something at one website, and the next thing you know, you're reading a devotional, and that thing pops up at you. Okay, and then next thing you know, you point and click, and it's at your door. If you're Amazon that day. Okay, so knowing that these things are in place, we have to really limit our exposure if we want to maintain our money, our bank accounts, if we have goals or of contributing to retirement plans over and beyond the holidays, then we really have to put some safeguards in. We really have to know ourselves and know where our sensitivities are and kind of just stay away as much as possible. But if we can't, have grace upon yourself and know that we serve a provider that will give us, what we need. But we also have a responsibility to kind of just keep it contained, just a tad bit. Having that budget is the key to that. Now, once we know how much money we want to spend, then we need to put a plan together to start saving for that. If for some reason we don't have a large amount of money amassed for this, holiday season. Knowing this, now we need to start having a system of saving. And that can be automated, which is one thing that I love to tell folks that I do myself. I automatically have money sending to an account that I cannot touch. It's not easy for me to get access to. So every so often, whether it's weekly or monthly, whether I need it or not, I'm moving it out, because how easy can we spend $50 to $100 over just going to the dollar store? We're going to a dollar store. Everything's $1, but it's so much, to your point earlier, so much of these dollar things that, psychologically, like, I got this, but it will add up. So just being mindful of that, automatically paying money out to yourself, to another account. We used to have Christmas clubs back in the day, where it was an intentional system. You can do that for yourself now. If it's too late now to begin, which is not, whatever you can automatically send to yourself, do it now. But make a plan that at the beginning of the year, if for some reason you've gotten off your budget, or you don't have a budget at all, you overspent, you went overboard, then be intentional in the beginning of the year. Start moving money over, and then you'll have, the funds to really have a very expansive or whatever type of holiday you want to have. But it comes with planning and having vision.
I love that, Celia. I'd say the only one thing that I tried, I start carrying just the cart, the hand basket.
Good.
Instead of pushing a cart.
Good.
That helps a little bit.
It does.
But you're right. If I could just have a better plan.
Yep.
Right. Of knowing how to do it.
Yep. And again, you know what you're going to purchase. You thought about it. You have your list. You know where your budgets are.
That's the word. I don't know that you use that, but that's the word, the list.
The list.
Like you say, you plan, but the plan then has to go
Have
on
the
paper. It can't just be on here. Right.
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 It's a lot of things to us. You use your notepad on your phone, and so it will keep you accountable, and set reminders. We have tools now. You can send a message to yourself. You're going shopping. You can put that on your calendar, send a reminder. Don't overspend. Focus. Whatever it is that prompts that you need to remind you to keep, your spending in control, then that's what you will have to do. Because at the end of it, it's you that has to take care of yourself for the most part. We love our family and our friends, and we want to be generous towards them. But there comes a point in time where you have to be generous towards yourself and building your future. And the earlier you can start that, the better off you will be as what you're doing with your granddaughter.
Because it's so easy to say, I can't do it. And I know there are people here right now listening to us who are saying, I can't. So here's the thing. If you say you can't, then you can't.
You won't.
Right? And so you have to decide, how important is it that you go into the new year without debt?
Yeah.
Exactly.
How important is that to you?
Exactly.
Why would you start off a brand new year still having to pay for stuff that you bought that most people have returned?
They returned,
Mm.
or
Mm.
they
Who has returned it?
or they put it in the closet somewhere or in the
Exactly.
drawer.
Exactly.
And I think expectations is that's another big word here that we've been using, but setting those expectations with others about what it is that, we know it's a time of giving and exchange, but setting those expectations with people is really, really important. You have to let people know I'm only gonna do, or I'm limited this
And
year.
yeah, and say it. So I totally agree. People are embarrassed or whatever.
Right.
It's ridiculous at this point with the way the economy is
Yep.
that you would be embarrassed because you can only spend so much.
Well,
Again, it's spending entails the food as well as the gifts, as well as your mortgage, all of those things.
they have to carry on
Yeah.
beyond holidays.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
if we go overboard and we come into January 2023 with this additional debt, that's going to create an additional level of stress because now we got to figure out how are we going to compensate for that.
Yep.
So we really need to put some boundaries, like with everything else, around the spending and expectations from others that people have of us. Because as business owners and people who are successful and high achievers, there's an external perspective that you got it going on. And so a lot of times we want to live up to that, and so we have to do some self-examination ourselves as to why, we
Is
feel like
ego,
we have
is
to be,
ego causing you to spend this money?
and it can't,
Yeah,
and ego will get you in debt.
exactly.
And after ego gets you in debt,
Ego
you
won't get it out.
You
That's
begin to
right.
think about a different way
That's
to
right.
manage that.
That's
So
right.
it's really important to examine yourself as well as to why we want to do sometimes excessively more than what we should, which puts a hurt on our checking accounts, pocketbooks, and wallets.
I loved how you said, think ahead of time about what you're going to spend and then make this list. This is a little bit out of the realm, but I want to mention it because I still go to Weight Watchers. And years ago, we had a meeting just before Thanksgiving, and they handed out paper plates. And they said, put on this paper plate everything you plan to eat. And so you start writing, and it just gets fuller and fuller and fuller, which I thought was amazing. And then, because that was a dinner plate, so then they got a smaller plate. Said, now put on there. And so to this day, because this was years ago, I typically eat with a smaller plate.
That's right.
Just because
That's right.
it's the perception.
That's right.
So I'm still going to eat everything on my plate because my
Yeah.
mama said that. My mama said, eat everything
And
on
eat
your
your
plate.
plate.
But you don't have to have a gigantic
That's
plate.
right.
You
No,
can
no.
have a smaller
shrink
plate.
it.
So it really is about discipline
It is.
and the results that you want
That's
for
right.
your life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Again, having a vision of what you want beyond the holiday season is going to be important.
Yeah.
With you containing or controlling spending and not going over and beyond so that you have that stress. One other recommendation or suggestion when you're looking at putting together a holiday budget, put a little extra in there because we know that we're going to do a little extra,
Right.
but make that your limit. That's your stash.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
put a little extra so because we know human nature is going to go over and beyond. And then again, have grace with yourself if for some reason blow it.
Yeah. And also, you can get something for yourself.
Oh, definitely.
I do.
You
I
probably
do.
need to be
I
the
get
first
something
one.
for me. Yeah, I do.
Somebody
Yeah.
have a question.
I do. So when you're talking about your budget and you touched on it a little bit when you mentioned ego.
Mm.
Describe what that ego feels like during the year versus the holidays. Is there a difference during the holidays of that ego typically that makes you spend all this money on folks?
I don't think that there's a difference. Ego is what do we call it? Imposter. It is imposter syndrome because you think you're more than all that in a bag of chips. And especially you're thinking you appear that way for others. when 9 out of 10 times other folks couldn't care less.
Mm.
So it's about
Mhm.
just being who you are. You know, we have such this huge thing for stars and rock stars and all of this kind of stuff. That's where the imposter piece comes in. Ego really is ego, edging God out.
Mm.
So we have to come back to who I am, what I can afford for this year, and be very authentic with it and tell my family, I love you, but this is all I can do.
Yeah.
And it's not about explaining, you know, it's not about defending. It is who I am. I know who I am. And so that eliminates the ego, if you will, because I know who I am and what I can afford.
And also, I think to just to piggyback a little bit on that is that the perception of others of us, and
Yeah.
whether we want to say it or not, it's important. And people look when you reach a certain level in life, they will look at you that in that way that you're supposed to have it going on, and you're supposed to be the provider, whether we agree with it or not. It is a perception that we carry when you strive to be successful, or that's what other people perceive that you're
Right.
successful. And living up to that expectation, that's where that little ego thing begins to nudge at us.
Wow.
Does
Thank
that
you.
help?
It does. It does. Thank you.
And I think this so perfectly, this edging God out with the ego goes straight to our next point, which is aligning yourself with spirit. Aligning yourself with spirit. The way I see it, the holidays, I think it's very interesting that so many religious holidays are all right here at the end of the year like this, right? Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, we've got them all right here. I think there's actually a few others. They're all right here. We have to align ourselves with spirit. I feel like this is the time of year, you get more people coming to church, right? You get more people doing church service, things like that. It's important that we recognize, because we can get so caught up in this budget and what we're spending and what we're doing that we kind of forget what's the whole thing, the meaning of the season.
Amen.
What's the reason for the season?
That's right.
It's not to be
Right.
necessarily, doing all this crazy stuff and being stressed out. No, for us with Christmas, it's celebrating the birth of Christ.
That's right.
And what that truly means to us, not even just from the birth, but the birth all the way to the resurrection.
That's right.
Right? So it's aligning yourself with the spirit. So I don't care what that means. If it means, going to a few church services that might feel good. I know Rita loves, New Year's Eve service? Christmas service.
Eve,
And just
Christmas Eve.
what that just does. I know there's some churches that do their typical holiday, their Christmas pageants and things like that. Align yourself with the spirit. Like we talked about being silent. Definitely spend more time with God during this time. When you're really looking at your budget, I'm going to tell you right now, I've come to the conclusion, I'm going to be praying
Yeah, you should.
before I start doing it. Because
You have
God, I
to.
need you to stop,
Exactly.
get my ego to be
You do.
gone, so I don't
Exactly.
think that I got to
Exactly.
cover all these people.
Right.
God, align me to make sure
That's
that I
right.
get even the gifts that I give, that
That's
I'm
right.
giving from a giving heart.
He knows.
Yeah.
He
Versus
knows
I'm
your
just
heart.
getting it to put that
That's
ego, make it look like,
That's
oh,
right.
yes, I remember you.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly.
this is why, right? And I think the other time, much like we talked about earlier, doing volunteering and giving back during this season also helps you align with your spirit, because there's a lot of people right now that, okay, I might have some of the stress and it's just a part of me, but you know what? I'm going to go and do something good for somebody else, because that's going to definitely, I know in turn, help me.
So last year at Christmas, I had dinner with a friend, and I felt, I just happened to mention to her that I would really like for the company to do something, because we haven't done anything. And so this year we are actually donating to building a house in Haiti.
Amen.
Rita Ricks,
That's right.
LLC,
That's
is donating to building a house
That's
in
right.
Haiti.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm really excited. The gentleman, I've met with him. He's shown us where these people live. I
Mhm.
can't even describe it. I cannot even
Yeah.
describe it.
Yeah.
And so to just have, they're just cute little houses with 2 rooms, but the people are so
The
excited.
quality of life.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so that is what we're going to do. That's what we're doing. I don't think I mentioned that to you.
That philanthropic
Yeah.
aspect of it is really
Mhm.
important. The giving, we get to a point where, it's more about others.
It is.
And helping others' lives get, beyond where they are at. And that is a great way
I think so
to
too.
use
I think so
financial
too.
resources.
I think so
It's
too.
the better
I hadn't told you either. Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
mentioned something.
Yeah. But I met him in January of last year, and I promised him that we would give something. So it will not be the entire house this year, but that's what I'll
Okay.
be working at
It's
for
a
next
start.
year.
It's a
Yes, it
beginning.
is. And then they put your name at the top of it. I mean, what more? You know,
That's
Haiti
awesome.
suffers so much.
Tremendous.
So,
And see, that aligns with your giving spirit, your
Yeah.
giving heart. So when we align
Yeah.
ourselves with spirit, it's perfect. Yes, Simone.
And so my question is, 'cause we've talked about budget and giving. What are some ways that are helpful during the holidays when you don't have the finances at all?
Your
There is
time.
nothing
Your
to give.
time. Your time.
Mhm.
Your wisdom.
Yeah. Mhm.
our church is going to be a part of a whole citywide event for giving out Thanksgiving baskets to folks. We used to do it individually, but now we're with the group. And so I plan to volunteer for that, you know. And so there are other, or just giving away. I'm going tomorrow. There's a friend who's doing a friends gathering, and I'm just going. She said coats, socks, and canned goods. So I'm gonna take coats, a couple of coats, socks, and canned goods that we already have.
Exactly.
You know, that we already have. So she's pulled it together. All I have to do is bring it. You know, that costs us nothing. It
Mhm.
really does.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very good question because, as Celia said, bottom line, your time.
Yes, yes. And and I guess when you don't have the money, it is stressful, right? So yeah, so any tips that you all can offer and how to explain that to the family? You mentioned you don't explain or defend, but you know, you just aren't in the place. You have that giving heart, but you're not going to give to the family. So you know, if you have any tips in terms of
Like,
how
I
do
think
you give to the family, because the community actually becomes easier than to your family. So my question is, how do you deal with that and not create too much stress?
So, Simone, I want to ask you, are you a creative? Do you have any creative gifts and talents that you have? That, okay. So, you know, I think I would work around where my gifts and talents are because it's
Good.
twofold. It will help, you know, lift you and it will lift others.
That's
If
good.
you're a writer, why, you know, not write some poetry or a song, you know, as a gift? Or it's just something personalized, you know your family more than, you know, anybody else will, and you know what their taste and their desires are. But I think I would just really build maybe giving around my gifts.
But I love that, you know, Angela reminded us that you cook, you know, and so maybe that's something that you wrap. I mean, back in the day, didn't everybody get a fruit
Yes.
cake?
Yes.
Got cake,
Everybody got a fruit
got
cake.
cake.
Everybody, and you ate it,
Yes.
you know. And so I'm being a little bit facetious here, but I know that you have amazing things that you could put in a tin, you know, a tin container of some kind that people can enjoy. And here's the deal: if they don't enjoy it, that's on them. It has nothing to do with you because you gave from your heart.
That's right. And you gave up what you had.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly. Exactly.
and-
Banana
yeah.
pudding, if you do that, I'll take it. I mean,
I will too.
you know,
Put
coconut
in
cake,
two orders.
I'll take it.
Key lime pie.
Yeah, here we go. So think about those things. I love that, Celia. Think about those things that you do well and do them. So there shouldn't be any angst on your part for giving from your heart.
Yes. That's wonderful. You all just helped me. You just lightened my load for Christmas.
Amen.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're
Yep.
welcome. Another thing that I'll say is, you know, when I talk about like all the services that I know I'll be going to, I'm gonna bring somebody with me. I'm gonna just bring someone with me. I got a few friends that, you know, I know will be doing different things, a few friends that have no family that are here, a few young college students that are stuck here for the holidays, right? So it's like, I'm gonna go grab them,
Yeah.
right? Spread a little bit of that joy,
Yeah.
right? Give them a little bit of time. Because some people really just want your time.
Most
Yes.
people
do.
just
want
most
your
people
time.
do. That's a good
Right?
point.
Yeah,
It
just your time. So
Yeah.
Good.
all right, y'all, we're gonna hit this last one, and I think it ties this whole thing together. And we talked a touch about it, but it's traditions, old and new, right? Because for me, you know, I talk often about how, you know, the Christmases with my grandfather, Christmases with my Thanksgiving, Christmas, even New Year's, because my grandfather was born New Year's Day. So for our family, from Thanksgiving through Christmas Day was kind of a big old party in all lessons. Family was coming in and out. So there was a lot of things, playing football with my older boy cousins, for Thanksgiving, my grandfather being the one that cuts the turkey, like certain traditions that I'm like, I hold that with every part of me. But some of the newer ones, right? I think of, okay, well, our family, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're gonna eat. Like it's just who we are. There's something in that. There's something about the sound of at the end when everybody leans back that we love. But one of the new, right? They just do. But the new tradition that we started last year, is that as a family we go for a walk after dinner. It is so amazing. Number one, it helps you digest your food. Apparently in Italy, they do it all the time. It's a normal thing to walk after you eat.
They walk, period.
Right, period.
Yeah.
But it's like after we eat, instead of just sitting back, somebody falling asleep, the football game on, all that good stuff, we'll go for a walk. And in that walk, it doesn't matter who it is. Tell a story. What's your favorite Thanksgiving? What's been your favorite Christmas? Right, just celebrating. Because for us, it's also, I've got the younger cousins that don't quite remember my grandfather because they were so young, that we get to tell the stories of him, right? We get to tell the stories of what Christmases looked like when my parents were younger, that I had no idea. It's continuing on a new tradition, remembering the old ones. But I think that also, as a result of the pandemic, like I said, and other things, life has changed, right? For some people, like our family also, we're spread pretty far out. And what we do every single month now with my mom's side is every first of the month, we get together on Zoom for an hour with everybody that can just come on. Doesn't matter. It's every time this time, right? But during the holidays, what we're doing, another new tradition, we've decided that at 4 p.m., no matter where you are, 4 p.m. Eastern time, we're all jumping on Zoom at the same time. We're praying for our meal together. Doesn't matter where you are. So even if you're in the car driving somewhere, if you're sitting there at a table, if you're with new in-laws, we've got a few new married couples that feel real weird about not being with us for the holidays. But we're like, no, you're doing something new. It's okay. Just to embrace it and tell us it's okay. We're giving you permission.
That's right.
Because it's one little moment we'll be together to pray. Because a family that prays together stays together. So that's one thing that we're going to be doing. That's an old tradition of praying, but a new tradition of how we're bringing it together. So do you guys have any new traditions?
So I always celebrate Angie's family because it is an amazing, authentic, rich family. And I have to say that it is in the minority. It's in the minority. And so when you have divorce, as my grands have, where they've got to spend time with dad and his family and time with mom, that's one thing. And it's different. Yeah. But I do know that regardless of the circumstances, even if you celebrate Christmas early, when you get them together. Plus, both of my grands are not living here. So they've got to travel. So we really had to regroup and figure out how we make it happen. I know last year with two having COVID, the one in Atlanta didn't come home. And so we FaceTimed her for a while, which was good. There were lots of tears, but we made it happen. Thank God for FaceTime, And like you say, with Zoom. And so don't feel like the victim, don't feel like the victim, even if you're by yourself, because that your family's good. We just don't happen to be together. But I would just encourage you to do what Angie's saying. If you can pray together, or even if you just text at 4:00 and just say, hey, I'm missing all of y'all. I'm sitting here I happen to be watching Netflix, but I'm good. Yeah. So that's important. Makes sense, Simone?
Yes, I just wanted to add to that, which is not allowing, and I love Hallmark and the holiday calendar, but not allowing that to tell you when you celebrate.
Excellent.
And so one of the things that I've had to incorporate, again, having lost my father first and then my mom, was, okay, I don't feel like doing that on Christmas Day. I want to be by myself on Christmas Day or whatever. In the earlier years. Now it's different. But recognizing, you know what? I can celebrate Thanksgiving with you on the day after Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Or the Wednesday before, or the Sunday or Saturday before. And because it is about being together. And so that togetherness and when you are together is not defined by Hallmark.
That's good.
It's defined by when you all can get together and coordinate your schedules. And so, and it takes a huge load off of when that turkey thaws, you know,
Or somebody eating all your leftovers. I'm there.
being
Like I
able
can
to
spend
cook
time with
it.
you afterwards. And you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing turkey.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does. It really does.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
I'd asked the
That's
question
good.
earlier about the you know, what you can do when you don't have the funds to give. One of the things that I've learned is to accept the budget. Typically the word budget means you don't have money, but it's something that major corporations, Fortune 500, the market lives by budget. So
Sure.
it's great to have a budget. And you can give throughout the year. You don't have to wait until Christmas and Thanksgiving to give your gifts.
Exactly.
You can give them
Exactly.
throughout. And I'll share this,
I-
and then I'll
I
be quiet.
I love what you're saying about Hallmark. Don't allow Hallmark, because before you can get out of debt in January, what happens? It's February.
Yes.
You know, and it's Valentine's Day. And then the next thing you know, it is Easter, and it's just the celebration. And then it's the 4th, and then it's Memorial Day. And so I really love how you said, do not allow Hallmark to determine how you celebrate when.
Yes.
No, how you celebrate when.
Exactly. Because it is about getting, you know, coming together and being with folks. And so I will share this with you, and then I want to hear
Please.
the rest of the different things that you all are talking about regarding combating stress during the holidays. I had a church member, I would give her a Christmas gift every year. She said, "Child, save your money for your retirement."
Oh, I like her.
Yeah, me too.
And she gives me a gift for Christmas. She's a retired teacher here in Virginia. She gives me a Christmas gift, but she will not allow me to give her a gift because she wants me
That's what I
That's
did to you.
selfless. I
to
love
give
it.
that
I
money.
love it.
Yep.
And
I'll
that's an
never forget.
authentic gift. It's not,
Yes,
I'm
it
doing this
was.
because I expect one from you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes, that's
Exactly.
so authentic.
So she has given me every year because I keep remembering I need to focus on my retirement.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
So
Yeah,
good. Simone,
it was
thank you
perfect.
for that.
I love
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
So we've gone through combat, you guys. So I'm just gonna say them again, just so we remember them. Okay. Communicate your expectations. Own your holiday joy. Maintain an attitude of gratitude. Budget, budget, budget. 3 times for the Holy Ghost. Okay. Align yourself with spirit. And then traditions, old and new.
And do this, celebrate this way all the way through.
All the way through.
The
Every
whole
day.
year, every day.
Who's to say that we should not?
Hallmark is saying it.
I
We're
know.
not.
Exactly. So
love it.
align yourself with spirit.
That's
We will
right.
celebrate every day.
That's right.
Every
That's
day can be
right.
Christmas.
That's right.
Thanksgiving.
That's right. That's exactly right. I have learned so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I know. This has
Go
been
see
so
everyone.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We just wanna remind you, well, first of all, let's just go to Celia has been amazing, with us, but again, she's been my friend and has just, just supported me and my business forever and ever. Really, Celia, it really is almost 10 years. So we
More
can,
than
oh, it probably is. Did you say more? I didn't know.
Yes.
It probably is more than
It's
that.
more
So she has literally just shown me how to grow and scale my business. So I would love for you all to keep her in mind real quickly, because there is a word out now that we hear a lot about, and I have no problem with it. It is mindfulness. It is mindfulness. And just yesterday, I saw a study where they had a study group that took a medication for anxiety,
Mhm.
and they had a study group that did mindfulness. Now, mind you, they spent a lot of time during the day on that, but the results were pretty much the same at the end of the 8-week study. People use mindfulness. We here use silence. We use silence. It's very similar. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is about stopping. It is about stopping. And so please know, one, that I was going to say celebrate. Well, we celebrate silence the second Tuesday of every month. So we ask that you go on the website, RitaRicks.com, and register on the front page, on the homepage for our newsletter. Okay, so that you can hear all the good things that we are doing. But the reason I brought Celia up is that her business, portions of her business are transforming to that whole mindfulness for your finances. So I want you to share what you're doing next month.
Sure. So again, I am building a practice around by faith and finances because I believe those two work together. And there are elements of mindfulness practices and prayer that are unorthodox in the secular world, but I believe and I see the progress that we can have when we combine those practices to help better guide us with our finances, because that's the piece that we need. And so on December 27th at 7 p.m., I'm going to put together a 3-hour budget and goal setting workshop session. And it'll be in webinar format, it'll be in Zoom format, and you'll be able to register on Eventbrite. So stay in tune. You can follow me on social media at Celia Powell CPA. CPA is where you'll see what my offerings are and what I'm bringing into the equation right now, over and beyond just finances, because it's more than about money.
Yeah. And we're actually going to do something with goals in January. We're going to have our Burn Vision Beach Retreat, which is going to be down at Virginia Beach at the Hilton.
Hilton Oceanfront.
Yeah,
Hilton Virginia
January
Beach.
2020 to the 22nd. And we're going to spend a lot of time working on what we don't want to bring from 2022 into 23, and what do we replace all of those things we are getting rid of. So when we're down at the beach, we don't burn, but we have paper that dissolves in the water. And so we watch it float out into the ocean, gone forever. So again, please register for our newsletter. We do a blog twice a month, and we also have a gift in this coming on the 4th Tuesday. We actually have a gift. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you've got to get our newsletter so that you can receive it. So the people on our newsletter are going to receive this gift from us to you before we put it out there. We also are going to put this on Facebook, and we're going to put this on YouTube. Okay. Not Facebook. We're going to put it on the website.
On the website,
On the website, for you, so that you can see it again and again and again. And we just absolutely thank Simone for being on with us. We really appreciate you. Yes, we do. And
Thank you. It's been
last
great.
thoughts?
I think we're just going to toast ourselves to being stress-free this holiday season. Do what we can do and forget the rest, but make sure that you find yourself with lots of joy, align yourself with spirit, communicate your expectation, and have some fun.
And have it the entire year.
Entire
year.
Right.
This is to you all.
Happy holidays,
Happy
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.